I fell in love with her, but I was more in love with her becoming the biggest star in the world. So when we broke up, it was because of that. I said, if this is going to get in the way, we can't do it.
No, I loved him very much, but not a passionate kind of love, not the kind of love that I've had with my husband.
I know before Motown because what he represented in front of me was just phenomenal. I've never seen anything like it.
You know the songs, you know the faces, but have you ever stopped to think, what's really going on behind those perfect smiles and smooth melodies?
Standing there as your eyes reached out to me.
Because let me tell you, darling, Motown was not all about love and harmony. Is Motown just a dream factory of sweet soul music? Or was it hiding something darker? The story behind its biggest stars isn't as polished as the records they produced. Cheating, broken hearts, shady deals, and a whole lot of money, Motown was a world of fame and scandal. But what really went on behind the scenes? Let's take a look.
Gospel is, or soul as it's called, is something that you feel from within and you do it spontaneously. You have to have a natural feeling for it.
Berry Gordy Jr., the mastermind behind it all, started with a tiny record store called the 3D Record Mart in Detroit. Whether you like him or not, you gotta admit, he's made Motown what it was. Did you know that he was a boxer? He had a few matches, but music won him over. And it won him over so much so
In me, I was taking music lessons from my Uncle B.A., who was a music teacher.
that at one point, he even opened a charm school to teach artists how to be stars. Everything from walking to table manners.
I had some problems.
Motown gave African-American artists a platform when society wasn't exactly giving them many, and trust me, they made a splash across racial lines. But in 1972, Motown packed up and moved to LA. Some called it a betrayal, but Barry said it was all part of the grand plan of expanding into movies and TV. After all, he had to do something big for Diana Ross and the Supremes, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, The Temptations, and of course, the legendary Jackson 5. All these icons were Motown's bread and butter. This was Diana Ross, the queen of Motown, the woman who was named the Female Entertainer of the Century. That's right. Born March 26, 1944, in Detroit, she was destined to be iconic. She grew up in the gritty Brewster Douglas housing projects, watched her mom fight tuberculosis, and still managed to chase her dreams.
I'd like to be the mother that my mother was. She was really there and very supportive. When I wanted to sing, my mother was there to support that.
By high school, she was balancing fashion design with being in a girl group, the Primettes, alongside Mary Wilson and Florence Ballard. Yes, those Supremes. Fast forward to 1961, Motown signs them, and now the Supremes are born, churning out hit after hit. In 1967, it was officially Diana Ross and the Supremes, and in no time, she was off to solo stardom with Ain't No Mountain High Enough. But she didn't stop at music. Her Oscar-nominated role as Billie Holiday in Lady Sings the Blues.
I noticed your sign in the window, and I'm a featured dancer at a club downtown, and I don't have much time, but I happen to.
And star turns in Mahogany.
What do you do now, honey, for a living?
What you been seeing me do, huh?
And The Wiz.
Hey, wait!
Cemented her as not just a musical icon, but a full-on entertainment queen.
And that would be, she wants everything herself.
But as Wilson puts it, Diana wanted a name for herself and the attention on her. And that didn't work out for the group dynamics. ultimately leading to a falling out.
I had to bite my tongue a lot of times, and Florence was totally opposite. Florence would never bite her tongue about anything. If it was whatever, she would call it.
I'm see Barry Gordy right now.
Oh, no, Flo, I don't think that's what I do. Stay here and calm down. Calm down for a minute. I'll tell them we'll be a little bit longer.
Diana had a separate dressing room. She was the diva, and the other two felt left behind, which caused an even bigger rift.
There was this separation from the group, and everyone talked about it, and you realize that equality is no longer there.
Her farewell performance in Las Vegas was emotional. So you wanna move in with me? With Jean Terrell replacing her, but Ross's last single with the group, Someday We'll Be Together, topped the charts. Someday we'll be together. Despite her quick solo success, Mary Wilson, who felt sidelined throughout their time together, expressed deep resentment over Diana's exit. Florence didn't have much different views either.
Exactly what was going on. We didn't do things together anymore. In a way, I felt scared. In a way, I felt unhappy. It's a whole bunch of mixed up feelings.
Even when there were plans of a reunion in 2000, they fell apart because Wilson believed it to be unfair, getting just a couple $1 million while Diana got the bigger cut.
Diana and I should have been there together, said, I'm ready to do this, you're ready to do it, let's do it.
In 2002, she made headlines when she was arrested for a DUI in Tucson. After driving into oncoming traffic, she spent just 22.5 hours in jail before being released early. Her personal life has also sparked plenty of gossip, particularly her rumored romance with Michael Jackson during the filming of The Wiz, a complicated relationship given their age difference and Jackson's lifelong crush on her. Add to that her high-profile affairs, including one with Smokey Robinson, and it's clear that Diana Ross's personal life has been just as juicy as her legendary career.
It really is. I mean, I think you keep trying to do all the right things, but it's not possible that you can't err and make mistakes in your life.
And of course, how can we forget her affair with none other than Berry Gordy?
So many things, you know. I can start with being a very, very good friend, a lover, a visionary for me, for dreams that I had and all the others.
They go way back to the 60s when a teenage Diana, still in high school, caught Gordy's attention with her voice. But of course, he told them to come back after graduation. So Diana, working her magic, honed her voice. And soon enough, the Supremes were born under the Motown umbrella, where Barry definitely played favorites.
Diana Ross was unique, absolutely unique. She worked harder than everybody else, and she believed in me enough.
I mean, I saw him he was really someone who had a vision, who did not accept his life the way it was, but it was.
He was obsessed with her, and she knew it. But things didn't stay perfect forever. Fast forward to the 80s, and Diana's ready to bounce. After all, RCA was offering her a $20 million deal. She called Barry, hoping he'd match the offer. But when he couldn't, she left anyway.
I fell in love with her, but I was more in love with her becoming the biggest star in the world. So when we broke up, it was because of that. I said, if this is going to get in the way, we can't do it.
And let's not forget the little surprise about their daughter, Rhonda, who Diana didn't reveal was Gordy's until much later, because surprise, surprise, she had her when she was still married to someone else.
No, I loved him very much, but not a passionate kind of love, not the kind of love that I've had with my husband.
But whatever you say, they left a legacy behind. So as of now, Diana Ross is worth about $250 million in 2025. And as for Berry Gordy, the Motown mogul, he's sitting pretty at $400 million in 2025. Marvin Gaye, born in 1939, started out as a shy church boy before becoming one of Motown's biggest stars. He gave us What's Going On.
To bring some loving here today. Yeah.
Let's Get It On.
We're all sensitive people.
And of course, sexual healing.
Sexual healing, baby.
His smooth voice and powerful lyrics made him a legend. But behind all that glory, chaos. He even had to leave the country and exile himself.
One thing was I was undergoing 2 divorces at the same time by itself, and then I was in bankruptcy. All my property had been confiscated, and it was...
Now, as for his relationship with Motown's big boss, Berry Gordy, Marvin wanted to make music that mattered. He pushed for what's going on.
To bring some loving here today. Yeah.
An album about social issues. And guess what? Gordy was like, nah, give me more hits like I heard it through the grapevine. And let me tell you, Marvin is choosy. He never even wanted to be an R&B star. He was all about jazz and even hated his early hits. But what's going on was when he found his groove.
Fault, I'm a difficult person. Yes, I did feel that I had outlived my usefulness.
Then there's his drug issues. In the late 70s, Marvin got deep into cocaine and PCP to the point where he thought people were after him.
Yeah, I mean, Marvin was staying at his parents' house. He was taking drugs somewhat during this time.
No joke. He wore a bulletproof vest on tour. But sadly, the danger was never from strangers. In 1984, Marvin was tragically shot by his own father.
Marvin got into some sort of physical altercation with his dad. His dad came in and shot him 2 times.
During a family argument, his dad only served a 6-year suspended sentence because, well...
Marvin had given his father that gun.
To protect the house.
Yeah, he gave him that gun to protect us.
Mental health issues. So, Marvin died on April 1st, 1984, just a day before turning 45.
Because it was turmoilic and traumatic for all of Marvin's life. I didn't find that out till he was dead.
His net worth at the time might have been $9 million. The Temptations were Motown's smoothest, most iconic vocal group. The Temptations kicked off in 1960 as the Elgins after merging 2 groups, the Primes and the Distance.
It was just my imagination.
And fun fact, they went on to become the first Motown crew to grab a Grammy in '69 for Cloud 9.
I'm doing
They've got 4 total. That, along with some of the biggest hits of the 1960s and 70s, like My Girl,
my girl, my girl, my girl.
Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and Just My Imagination.
But it was just my imagination.
But behind the perfect melodies and polished performances was a storm of drama, egos, and scandals that would make any reality TV show look tame. The Temptations were no strangers to drama, but the departure of lead singer David Ruffin in 1968 made headlines. This guy was battling a serious cocaine addiction. His behavior got more erratic, leading to missed rehearsals, late performances, and public outbursts.
But there were some differences business-wise, and at that time, things just could not be smoothed out.
He also started causing tension with Motown's head honcho, Berry Gordy, by asking for a detailed accounting of the band's earnings. But it wasn't just the drugs. Oh no, he also developed a pretty massive ego. Ruffin demanded the group be renamed to David Ruffin and the Temptations, basically pulling a Diana Ross on his bandmates.
Wasn't it, though, David Ruffin wanted it David Ruffin and the Temptations?
Yes, he did.
Unsurprisingly, this did not go over well. And things came to a head in June 1968, when he missed a key performance just to see his girlfriend's concert. The band had enough, and on June 27th, 1968, they officially booted him.
When we first started out, we made a vow that we would not change, because we had heard about Frankie Lyman leaving the Teenagers and Tony Williams leaving the Platters, so we made a vow.
But surprisingly, Ruffin said otherwise.
Well, all the headlines said I was fired, you know. But I don't see how you could fire someone out of a group of that magnitude. At that time, things just could not be smoothed out.
The very next day, Dennis Edwards, fresh from the Contours, was brought in to replace Ruffin. While the other Temptations initially welcomed Edwards, Ruffin would randomly jump on stage during concerts and try to sing his old hits. He even took the fight to the Motown offices, suing to leave the label. Motown countered, and they ended up settling out of court, which meant Ruffin would remain with Motown as a solo artist for the remainder of his contract. Even with Ruffin's tantrums, Edwards held his own, proving to be a solid replacement. But of course, Edwards himself had his own battles with addiction, leaving the group several times over the years. But through all that chaos, the Temptations kept their legacy going strong. As for their net worths, it ranged from Otis Williams at $8 million, the wealthiest, to David Ruffin's $500,000, with Dennis Edwards, Eddie Kendricks, and Paul Williams falling in between. The Jackson Five? Now these guys don't need any introduction, do they? But just for the sake of formality, formed by Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael, the group gave us some of the most unforgettable hits like ABC, I Want You Back, and I'll Be There.
I'll be there with the love that's strong.
Use Jackson 5 because there's 5 of you. It stuck, so we called ourselves the Jackson 5.
When they auditioned, Michael's rendition of Who's Lovin' You had Berry Gordy crying, and they were signed on the spot. But the real drama is all about the group's exit from Motown in 1976. These guys had been killing it on the charts, but behind the scenes, they were seriously fed up. Can you believe they were getting just a 2.7% royalty rate? Like for all that talent? For making Motown millions? Yeah, that wasn't sitting right with them. So they dropped a bombshell at a press conference and announced they're leaving Motown for Epic Records. And they negotiated a fat 20% royalty rate at Epic. But of course, Motown wasn't just going to let them stroll away without a fight. They hit the group with a breach of contract lawsuit. And in the end, the brothers had to ditch the Jackson 5 name and become the Jacksons. And then there's Jermaine Jackson, who decided to stay with Motown just because he was married to Berry Gordy's daughter, Hazel. So they brought in Randy Jackson to replace him, and the Jacksons were born. The real game changer was that this new deal gave them full creative control. With their 1978 album Destiny, don't blame it on the good times, blame it on the boogie. They were finally able to write and produce their own music. Now, of course, one of them, Michael, gained far more success than the others. Did they have any resentment? Well, here's what they have to say.
I know before Motown because what he represented in front of me was just phenomenal. I've never seen anything like it.
It's not about the money, it's about the heart who care. Well, what's untold is pretty much that we love each other.
Michael's estate is raking in $2 billion. Janet's sitting pretty at $190 million. Jermaine's got $5 million, and LaToya's at $4 million. As for Jackie and Marlon, Jackie's got about $200,000, and Marlon $100,000 from real estate. Randy? Well, his net worth's a mystery.